Welcome to the first ever edition of Side by Side with Amber Marshall. And I have an extra special guest for my first guest, and that is none other than my Granny Sheila. Thank you for joining me, Granny.
It's an honor.
Oh, it's been such a great week. For those of you who don't know, I am originally from London, Ontario, and moved out to the west for Heartland. And so the majority of my family is back in Ontario, which is many, many miles away. I'm always so honored when I get to have family come visit me. And this is my busy time of year, so I have a hard time finding time to leave. But when you get to come and visit, that's always a special time. And we've had quite the week. We have packed a lot into a short amount of time. We have gone on some really nice dinners and lunches. We've gone all the way up to Canmore for a nice lunch. We have gone to a rodeo, a beautiful ride in the mountains, and you even had a chance to come on set.
Yes.
And so it's been a jam-packed week, and I'm really sad that it's over. But one extra special thing is that it is Granny's birthday. So happy birthday, Granny. I'm so happy that you get to spend your birthday in the West.
Yes.
And this is not a new trip for you. This is something that's become a tradition.
Yes.
Every year, Granny gets to come out this time of year. I'm always excited to have her here, and you spend a week of your summer with us.
Yes.
Now, last year was an extra special year because
Yes,
you celebrated your
90th birthday.
90th birthday. I mean, she doesn't look a day over 60 right now, but she did celebrate her 90th birthday last year with me. And we did something fun for your 90th birthday.
Extra special.
Granny has always been a fan of Heartland. And a few of my family members have had the opportunity to be background at Maggie's Diner. And Granny always puts little hints out. I'd come to Alberta. When am I going to be background? So we did a little, it was kind of a surprise. I mean, you got to come to set.
Totally.
And we set up full hair and makeup and wardrobe. You got to pick your outfit. You had your hair and makeup done. Chris Potter was directing, and he was able to put you in a specific spot in the scene. And you got the first front row view of what was going on.
Yes, it was awesome.
And then this year, Chris Potter just happened to be directing again.
Yes.
And so when you were out on set this time, I know you got to reminisce about last year.
In London.
Yes, because Chris Potter is also from London, Ontario. And so it's special for us because, you know, that's where we're all from. Now, you are originally from Toronto.
Yes.
And so what year did you move to London?
1972.
Okay. It was a very different place back then.
Yes, it was.
It was a very different place when I was growing up. It's amazing the speed of change
Yes.
that everything goes through. So you got to go to a rodeo. Now that wasn't this ain't your first rodeo.
No, my first professional rodeo.
Okay. So we went to the Stavely Pro Rodeo, and we went with a group of friends, and it was such a great energy because it was very small town, local rodeo. We got right up close and personal. You know, you're sitting right where you're getting dust in the face, because you've been to the Calgary Stampede before.
Yes.
And that is the rodeo. That is the one to go to. That is the rodeo. But you're also so far removed from the action.
Yeah.
You know, you're taking in the show from up in the stands. And so this was a neat experience because you were right on the...
They were just arm's length away.
Yeah. And we got to see Piper Ewell was there, and she did a fantastic job with her Liberty horses and Roman riding. That was really cool. I've been able to work with Piper a few times, and she's a class act. Really, really great kid. I get a lot of people that say to me, I've always wanted to ride, but I'm too old. Right? I've never been on a horse. I'm too old. And so your story is very inspiring to myself and to many others, because Granny, the first time Granny got on a horse was at the age of 80.
My 80th birthday.
Your 80th birthday.
Yeah.
So for all of those who say, I'm too old, I've passed my time, I can no longer ride or get on a horse for the first time, I'm going to call your bluff. Because Granny, for her 80th birthday, started taking riding lessons and loved it.
Loved it.
And then each year when she comes out to visit me, she gets to ride Hawk, which is very special because Hawk, for those of you who don't know, is one of my horses who is just so sweet and kind and gentle. And he always takes care of everybody that that decides to climb aboard, and Granny being one of them. I think the highlight of my time with you here this trip was the ride,
And mine definitely.
yeah. And typically we just go around my property, and we always have a really nice ride. It's usually beautiful weather.
Yes.
This year was no exception. Beautiful day. And a few friends of mine were going out into the mountains, so we tagged along. And what was your favorite part of that ride?
I think the lookout, where you could look out at the foothills and the mountains, and everything was so green.
It's a beautiful time of year, and it's so lush right now. You can see the lilacs in bloom behind us. And today the rain has just held off. It was raining a bit this morning. We had some huge thunderstorms yesterday.
Yes.
And today it's just nice and lush. I have to cut the grass today, actually. That's on my to-do list. That's one thing I absolutely love about farm life and having so many animals is, there's always something to do, which I'm like you, we always have to be busy.
Yes.
So having animals that need our attention and there's always things to be done is great for me. But it's also constant entertainment.
Yes,
You know,
I agree with that.
Yeah, even with your cat, I'm sure she
well,
keeps you entertained.
Yes.
And it's always, for me, I come home after a long day at work, and one of the best forms of meditation, so to speak, is just watching my animals. And I love it. One of my favorite things is wandering through the field. I walk through my big pastures and I watch the horses and the cows grazing or taking a nap, as they are behind me here. And it's just something that's so calming.
Yes, yes.
You can't help but just take a deep breath at the end of the day, and you watch them, and all the stress just kind of melts away from your body. And that's probably a reason why people love Heartland too,
Yes.
because watching the animals
No
is very
doubt.
calming.
Well, I sit out on my deck in the afternoons, and my cat comes out with me. And she likes to chase chipmunks, but very seldom because she's kind of big and not swift.
Yes.
So she's my entertainment.
Yeah. Each year when you come here, you always meet a new animal that I have. Right. It seems
Definitely.
like every year that's the question is, who has joined your farm this time? And this year it was Autumn.
Yes.
So Autumn is a very special girl. What did you think of her?
I thought she was lovely.
Yeah.
Very, very loving.
Yes, she is. And it's always interesting to me to see where they've come from, the story that they have. Now, Autumn was a stray. She was just a feral dog. And I got her when she was about 6 months old. And she is just so appreciative of having
you
a
can
home
see that.
and having someone to
see
love
that,
her.
yeah.
And she just, right away, Granny came and Autumn just kind of leaned into her and looked up at her and said, "Pet me." But she's also very gentle,
Oh, yes.
which is nice because she's a very large dog. So if she didn't know her own space and her own weight, she could probably push you over fairly easily. Growing up, I was very fortunate to spend a lot of time at your house.
Yes.
Both my parents worked, and so I would spend my days with my grandparents. And I do believe that a lot of who I am started in those days.
Yes.
And you lived right on a ravine, huge forest, lots of things for me to go and explore and find. And I would go down with buckets and bring back frogs and toads and snakes and everything else in between. And you were always so accepting of that. And you said, "Go explore. Tell me what you find." And I think as a kid, that's so important to be able to go and just see the world around you. And I still am like that.
Yes.
You know, I still go out in the woods
Definitely.
and find little critters and bring things home. But I believe that that's where I learned to be independent. I know you were always watching me. You kind of had a good vantage point. But for me, it felt like I was doing these things on my own. And I think that was really important. So is there any kind of advice? I know I'm putting you on the spot here right now, but is there anything that, being a mother of 4 yourself,
Yes.
you can say to parents out there, grandparents out there who have young ones that, want to go out and explore? Or is there anything that you can tell them?
Let them go.
Mm-hmm.
keep an eye, but
Yeah.
watch them.
Yeah. I do think that
Yeah.
is so important, especially in today's society when there's so much distraction with social media and electronics
Yes.
and
Yeah.
all of these things. I think that it's so important for kids to be kids.
Yes.
And to go out and take a stick and go poke an anthill or whatever it might be, because you also have to learn mistakes yourself.
Exactly.
You can't be told
Exactly.
everything. And I think that is so important. And that's one thing I was allowed to do was, within reason, go and make my own mistakes.
Yes.
And that's really important. I remember coming across a snapping turtle and thinking, should I see if he'll bite this stick or should I see if he'll bite my finger? And these are things that you have to learn.
Fortunately, it was the stick.
Exactly. You have to learn these things and make tough choices as a kid. And I know that it can be hard for parents and grandparents to give them the reins, so to speak,
Yes.
but I think it's really important.
Definitely. Especially today.
Well, it is always so special when you come out and you get to spend time here. And I really hope that this is on your to-do list for next year.
Of course.
Same time, same place.
Yes.
And it's special for me to be able to hang out on your birthday,
Yes.
too. So happy birthday.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a wonderful, smooth flight home. And thank you for being my first ever guest in Side by Side with Amber
I'm
Marshall.
honored.
You say